Bitcoin macro update today. We're going to start at the weekly chart, then we're going to zoom out to the monthly, and then even the 3-month chart, the quarterly chart. All with the Gaussian channel, the high-low pivot points, concerning things in the weekly, out to the monthly, and the not so concerning. On the bigger picture, we're going to look at Fibonacci extensions, where we could possibly go based on that, and a lot more fun, kooky shit. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Follow us on Twitter, Telegram, Patreon for more content. We talk about Bitcoin every day in our private Telegram alerts group. Stay on top of everything, all the moves, latest and greatest. Check us out there. All right, so getting to it. Weekly chart to start us off with. Consolidating above our previous all-time highs is always a good sign. However, there are a little bit of concerns that we see and what we want to watch out for. First and foremost, the biggest red flag is if we were to close inside the weekly Gaussian channel, which as of now would be under 50K, that would be a huge red flag. Not only that, but we have some bigger concerns forming potentially right now. What are they? I'm glad you asked. And they have a hidden kind of silver lining here, so we'll get to it. These past 3 weeks, we've tested just above the 21-week EMA, the yellow line. You can see how we held it as support back here. Support here, broke through it, and now we're holding it as resistance. That has never been great news with Bitcoin as far as the macro scale, again, which is what we're talking about. We need to not do that and in a hurry. However, as we talked about the silver lining, we see this long candle that we got with the low volatility, our low of 49K. And then the following week, we got a less volatility, right? As you can see, that's a 2x inside, right? The shadow, the high wicks do not exceed the previous weeks. And now, this week is also inside the previous week. We call that a 3x inside. So, what does this mean? Why does this benefit you? What could come out of that? I'm glad you asked. This can act like a spring coiling up. Could be to the high side or downside. We don't know yet. How would we know? Again, I'm glad you asked. Depending on where we close, and again, the wick this week, we still have 4.5 days left, depending on when you watch this video. Go check it out. But assuming we close inside of this shadow of the previous week, so we can't go higher, even with a wick, than 61.8. We can't go lower, even with a wick of 56K. We have to remain inside. And if we did that, the following week will likely be an explosive week. One way or the other. How would we tell? It's usually whichever wick breaks the previous weekly candle. So we're actually going to look at this candle right here. So our high, remember, of 61.8, and our low right there. Whichever side would break first, if it's this week, has a higher probability. Again, next week, let's say we close here, we're looking at, this one that's not here yet. Right? So whichever wick breaks first, that's the odds increasing dramatically that you're going to follow that for the next considerable amount of time. And because we're on a weekly chart, we're probably looking at months. At least weeks. For this next several weeks. So probably all of September, whichever way we break first, assuming again we close inside this, is the odds for the foreseeable future. And we're probably looking at some kind of bigger volatility. All right, so now you know. All right, so now having said that, the weekly, we are putting in lower highs. We are putting in lower lows. But my last Bitcoin video, it's kind of like the broadening mouth pattern. If you didn't watch that, go check that out. And you could check yourself. Remember, just put on closing prices, right? You don't want to have any lines through here, right? Closing top, closing top. We have 3 check marks on the top, 3 touch points almost on the bottom, right? You could argue that, right? But this usually leaves in the direction that it came. So because we came from, yonder, word of the day is yonder, right? We likely leave from yonder, right? Go that way. Continuation, consolidation for continuation. And it does matter which angle you came from and which angle this is at. If it was going up like this, that would be bad, right? We don't want to see that, but we're not. This is actually the most bullish of the patterns. Higher probability of breaking this way as of now, right? We're just using the odds. That's all we have in crypto is the odds. But that is our odds per the weekly chart. Okay. Now let's go out to an even higher time frame, the monthly. And I would argue even a more bullish looking chart. Why do you say that? Well, if you put it on closing prices, we haven't even gone below the EMA 8 on the monthly. That exact number is 58,433 as of right now. EMA 8 on the monthly, when we close in 10 days, 9 hours, going into September 1st, we would like to be above here. Is it significant if we don't? No. Why do I say that? Well, let's go look at the last couple of times that we've closed below the EMA 8. How about right here, August 2023, namely a year ago. Closed under the EMA 8. Was that over for us? Was it doom and gloom? For another month or so, it was a little suspect, right? I think back, if you think back to this time, the sentiment in the market was kind of similar to where we are now. And then we proceeded with minor explosive move to the upside. How about the time before that? Bear market time. Closed under 1, 2, 3. And then we rejected. We held that as resistance. You see that difference? Put it on closing prices. Then we broke down and then held it. That's not good, right? That's what we wouldn't want to do. However, look at the previous time before that. 1 month close, 2 month, right back above it. Then we're good, right? At least for the foreseeable future, in the next several candles, right? Good. What you don't want to do is go below it and then hold it as resistance. So out of the past 1, 2, 3 times, 2 out of the 3 have been good. 1, not so good, but bear market time. And, well, we had a nice run. This time, I think we're still just settling down. And if we look at closing prices, right, how can you not think that that is bullish, right? A move up, consolidate, a move up, consolidate, a move up, right? Next move up. How high would we go? Well, that brings us to our next point, our Fibonacci extension, as promised. So let's go look at that. Get it zoomed in a little bit here. And we're going to do 2 fib extensions, because sometimes if you do the macro, it's you'll see what I mean here, right? If you've never seen this before, right? So fib, swing high, swing low, right? The 1618, usually a good target. 173, it's like, holy shit. Go 69 to 174. Is there anything in between that? Well, you can do that if you get these little intra-moves, right? You want some kind of volatility, and I would say, you know, over 30% move, we could probably get that. So let's try this, right? We do another fib from our swing high to our swing low there. And now we have some intra levels on the intra levels, right? So now if we break out to new highs, our first target would be around the 95K mark. 95 to 100K seems to make sense psychologically as well. Beyond that, the 2618, we have 143. Then we have our 173, and if we get, you know, ultra bullish and, you know, Sailor sells his house, buys half of Canada, right? Everything goes well. That's the bottom line, right? Then we could talk about, you know, 200K, but unlikely, right? Look at these extensions. Just for shits and giggles, the 2618 is at 775. Maybe the next cycle, 10 years. Maybe longer, but keep that in the back of your mind. But there's kind of 2 fib extensions. 173, I would guess, like all things considered, our next top, assuming we go above 100K, if we go above 6 figures, our likely top is somewhere in that zone. 140 to 170-ish. Seems to make sense. But no guarantees, because guess what? 1618, 95K. Maybe we don't see 6 figures this one. Maybe it takes next cycle to really get up in this area, to the 3618, to the 1618. Maybe we're looking at 5 years from now. Could be. Based on the macro, though, this looks like a good setup, especially the longer consolidation. I think we have a good chance to maybe even hit up here this cycle. So from our bottom candle from 49K, that would still be a nice 3x move, right? 200% is 3x. Sure, great. From current prices for Bitcoin, that still gets you, you know, 140, 150% move, upwards of still potential 3x if we go to the top of that zone. All right, so that's the monthly chart, still looking A-okay. Even if we close under, 58K for our monthly, it's not over yet. Right? This is absolutely a bullish formation. Look at that chart. How do you not argue that? Looks great. Okay, now let's go one more. The 3-month chart. Maybe you don't look at this very often. Our Gaussian channel's way the hell down here. We don't really need it anymore. Right? So let's get back to regular candles. We might note the shooting star back here from October of 2021 going into the 2022 bear market. There's a massive warning on a quarterly chart. You get a shooting star at the top of a rally. Not so great. And that led to that. And now a big move, explosive move up. I would argue like that's really just one move up there, right? Pretty great. You could argue potential double top here, but remember, like the bears would argue, say double top, but a double top wouldn't confirm until that low is taken out. Remember, double tops do not confirm until a new lower low is made. Double bottoms do not occur until a new higher high is made. Many people get that wrong. So on the macro scale, if you're hoping for a double top, you'd have to be looking for a closing quarterly chart under 16.5. Not likely. So if that's not the case, then I would argue that we're consolidating above previous all-time highs. How are we not? Closing prices? Looks A-okay to me. How about you? Absolutely. Looking at just the chart in a pretty simplistic form, looks about as bullish as you could hope. Yeah? Yeah. The answer is yeah. Okay, so consolidating above not only that, but above the 8 EMA on the 3-month chart, which is at 48K. Our swing low. Why did our wick go that low? Surprise! That was our highest close right before the bear market. Look at that. We did not violate that. Amazing. The most macro looking charts for Bitcoin are still blatantly bullish if you've got your eyes open. I mean, just look at it. All right. So we'll wrap it up there. Hopefully that helped you a little bit. Remember, we have our blue Bitcoin hash ribbon buy signal that's flared up a couple weeks ago. We have that in our back pocket as well. That's historically been very accurate for the months of following. So sometime between now and October, I say we're going to have a surge to the upside based on past 12 plus years of Bitcoin. That's that, as they say. All right, quote of the day, card of the day. Quote, never apologize for showing feeling. When you do so, you apologize for the truth. So deep. I don't make them up. I just read them. All right. Card of the day. Holy hell. Ferrari FXXK Evo. About the most elaborate Ferrari I've ever seen. Looks spectacular to me. Look at the rear. Great. Might as well eliminate 90% of the spoiler and just go with the 2 parts of it. I'm sure there's meaning behind it. There's one with the actual full spoiler there. Looks pretty sinister. Looks great. I wonder if they make this in a model car. You think? I would bet. Ta-da! All right. We'll wrap it up there. I'll dust off my model car and go on my merry way. And you as well. Have a good day. We'll see you on the next one. 57 gold stars for watching this long. Just for you.